Hey guys, welcome back to talking about the hemispheres of the brain. We are going to talk about decussation today. So let's start by defining decussation. It's kind of a new word probably for some of you. So decussation is all about interhemispheric communication in the brain. And communication between lateral sides of the nervous system, right? Between left and right sides of the nervous system. So this is a spinal vertebrae. This would be the sagittal cut of the spinal vertebrae, where like somebody just cut you right down the middle, right? Mid-sagittal longitudinal slice. And these are incoming sensory fibers, okay? And here is where they decussate. Okay, so you have this decussation, a nerve fiber crossing at the midline of the spinal cord. Now, decussation happens in some other very distinct places in the central nervous system. So we'll start with the corpus callosum, which you are already familiar with. And the corpus callosum connects our cerebral hemispheres, right? So it's a bridge of a whole lot of fibers. We've seen this picture before. It's looking down from the top of someone's head, and if you were to just sort of like slice off the top of their head, you could see the corpus callosum fibers. Here you can see that they're divided. So there are different areas of the corpus callosum, and those different areas connect specific cortical regions. This is the fiber tract. This is the structure that's damaged in patients with split brain, in split brain patients, which we will talk about in the next video. Okay. The next area of decussation in the central nervous system is the optic chiasm, and this is having to do with vision, so we will talk much more about this when we talk about vision. Essentially, so here's the optic chiasm. Here are the optic nerves behind the eyes. So the eyes get information, pass it along the optic nerve to the optic chiasm, and here is where information decussates. Okay, so we have a left visual field and a right visual field. Okay, it's not about information from the left or right eye, it's about visual field. So your left visual field is going to be information coming from the left side of both eyes. Okay, that feeds into both eyes, and that's your left visual field. And then your right visual field is the same. It's the right side of both eyes, forms your right visual field. So that information is passed back to the optic chiasm, and then it's parsed out. So all the right visual field information goes here, and all the left visual field information goes here. Next, we have audition. Decussation in audition, and this looks all crazy and complicated because it is auditory pathways are kind of like their subcortical craziness. So what you have is, so here's the cochlea. This is structures in the ear, and then these synapse on structures in the auditory. I think this is primary auditory nucleus. Oh no, cochlear nuclei. All right. I swear I know what I'm talking about. Okay, so these are the cochlear nuclei. And then you have the olivary complexes. Okay, so here's the superior olivary complex. And you have some information from the left here, and you have some information from the right here, and then you have some of that information feeds over here, some of it goes up here, some of it goes over here and over here. You can follow the arrows, but essentially you've got areas of decussation in multiple points. This is the main area of decussation for auditory pathways, but you can see there's one that happens here, right? Okay. So next we have the spinal cord, which we were just talking about that here with this cool illustration. We've got information going into the spinal cord, we have information coming out of the spinal cord, and all of that information has to decussate from, right to the left hemisphere of the brain and left side of the body to the right hemisphere of the brain. So we have the anterior commissure of the spinal cord, right? So here's the anterior horn, here's the anterior commissure, and this is where a lot of decussations happen. So here's a pyramidal decussation. Okay, so this is This is motor cortex, right? And it's sending information out. You've got a decussation, and boom, it's going out to the skeletal muscle, right? Then you also have the spinal cord situation of information coming in, okay? And here we've got a decussation here, posterior decussation. I'm sorry, this is not a decussation. The decussation's up here. It's more posterior decussation through a different area, and then it feeds up to the primary somatosensory cortex. Okay. So, oh, right, and just wanted to point out to you that the primary somatosensory cortex, remember we were talking about the homunculus, this is where that all falls, right? So you've got information coming in from some area of the body, decussation, and here it is being handled by the corresponding area of the somatosensory cortex on the contralateral side of the body. All right, so why this whole video just for decussation? I just wanted you to sort of have a glimpse into the complexity of the nervous system, right? It's not just standalone areas that do things. Things are connected. Lots of things are connected. And that means that there's lots of ways for things to go wrong. Okay, but it also means that there's multiple opportunities to accommodate for that damage, right? So think about it this way. You have, let's say, get my handy dandy pen out here. So you've got a start point and an end point, and you need to get information from one point to the other, right? So, okay, what's the fastest way to do that? Boom. Now, let's say that this connection suffers some damage. What happens? I don't have any way to get my information from point A to point B anymore, right? It's just severed. There's nothing I can do about that. So what happens now if I have point A and point B? But along the way, we've got some other sort of like rest stops for the information, right? And we have things connected to all of those, right? Those are connected to those, but then these guys are connected to each other like this, right? It gets all crazy. So now what happens when I've got damage? Well, I still have potentially a whole portion of network here that can make up for this damage. And maybe this doesn't necessarily relate like directly to decussation, but it does fit in with this idea that the nervous system and your brain is not about specific areas. It's about interconnected areas. Okay, so next video we're going to talk about split brain patients. Pretty interesting stuff. I will see you there.